Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, both have basically been the faces of the WWF/WWE. You hear that name and you think one of the other. But one of the saddest things to ever happen in professional wrestling is that we never got to see this match. What is up, guys? It's me, the ALE Double X Prince, and I am going to debate whether or not we should have even had this match, or if so, which WrestleMania should have happened. Now let's look back and see WrestleMania 18 and think of what the card would have looked like if Austin fought Hollywood Hogan. This was the original plan, but because Hulk Hogan, I mean not Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't sure if he was like eligible to compete in it against uh the Hulkster, which is why they gave the match to The Rock. Now, like I mentioned in my previous video on WrestleMania debates, Stone Cold Steve Austin ended up in like the fifth or sixth match against Scott Hall. I always said like if Hogan and The Rock wasn't going to be the main event, Austin and Triple H should have headlined, not Jericho and Triple H, or as people may know it as Triple H versus Stephanie McMahon with the undisputed champion Chris Jericho. That's just how we all see it. Now, WrestleMania 18 was still one of the biggest draws, to say the least. Let me just go back and check the numbers for WrestleMania 18. So, here you have it. The attendance was 68,237. Pretty big number. And keep in mind that this pay-per-view also happened in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You know, I believe the professional wrestling was pretty big on Canada, but normally when you think of WrestleMania and stuff, you immediately go to like anywhere in the US. Not to say that Canada doesn't deserve a WrestleMania. They do deserve a WrestleMania. I mean, gosh. But when you think of how big that show was as far as attendance go, it's a pretty big number. And hell, one of the most like memorable things about it was that the poster was the icon versus icon rocking Hollywood Hogan, showing that no matter what, Hollywood Hulk Hogan should have been in the main event of this show, if not, like I mentioned, Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you watch my rebooking of WrestleMania 18, you know what I'm talking about. But let's look at the previous year, where it was WrestleMania 17. And over there it says that it has 67,925. So the numbers were bigger at WrestleMania 18. And really, it could have been bigger, it could have been smaller, but this was a pretty good number, a big change in the business. Now, let's look at WrestleMania 19, which is a drastic drop to 54,097 numbers. So it's a pretty drastic drop. You drop like 15,000 than usual, WWE, and that is a big problem. But let's look at the card at WrestleMania 19. Some people even consider this to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time. So we had the Cruiserweight Championship match with Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio, Undertaker and A-Train, Undertaker versus Big Show and A-Train, the Triple Threat match for the Women's Championship, Trish Stratus, Jazz, and Victoria, the Triple Threat match for the WWE Tag Team Champions, which are Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, the world's greatest tag team, Los Guerreros, Chavo and Eddie, and Chris Benoit and Rhino. A cat fight, I don't count that as a match. We had Triple H and Booker T, Hogan and Vince, uh, Michaels and Jericho, Rocky and Austin, and the main event Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. And I personally like what they did at WrestleMania 19, showing like the past Rock and Austin be the semi main event, and to show the new generation, the main event was Brock and Kurt Angle. That was a cool way of showing us that we are in a brand new era. However, at this point, people have seen those matches before. The only match that was probably the most interesting out other than the main event was Michaels and Jericho, which we've never seen, but it wasn't that big of a draw, especially considering the shitty year that Jericho had in 2002. No offense. And Hogan and McMahon, that was probably the best built match. But regardless of what happened in this WrestleMania needed the epic card. Something to say thank you and goodbye to the hardcore fans. Some of them were going to stick around, but some of them were not. And this did not help. I'm sorry. As well as this card is, it's not as big as it could have been. And I am not going to give you my card because someone already else did that. If you watch Diesel 101 Raw, if you're watching this, bro, uh, shout out to you, brother. Um, but he did a rebooking of WrestleMania 19, what his card would have looked like, and my card would have been the exact same way. Just to, I won't spoil it, but the gist is Austin and Hogan was there. Now, it keeps me up to the biggest question: which WrestleMania needed the most? The one that made big bucks, or the one which made meh money? Well, the reason why I personally believe that it should have happened at WrestleMania 19 is one, to bring the ratings up. Two, it will be the epic farewell to both men. And three, I would rather much see the ultimate Hulkamaniac, the babyface Hulk Hogan versus the babyface Steve Austin, the ultimate babyface match. A heel Hogan and a babyface Austin is interesting, but we needed a match that we were for sure gonna imagine was gonna be great, which was Rock and Hogan. That match was fucking incredible. One of the greatest matches that never main evented a WrestleMania. That match was better. I think Rock could work a heel and a face better than Austin. That's the honest truth. That's my personal opinion. Whereas Austin is better much wrestling as a face. He sucked as a heel. We could all agree with that. And Hogan was too little egotistical at some points. But this is not over. At one point, there was talks that at WrestleMania 25, Hulk Hogan was supposed to face Stone Cold Steve Austin yet again. Now, keep in mind, both men have not been wrestling in forever. Like, it would make no sense for this. But let's actually look at the tally up. And that show actually had 72,744. So it's actually a lot bigger than all three of these WrestleManias well, not combined, but like it's bigger than all three of these WrestleManias. So really they didn't need it. Because at this point WrestleMania kind of picked up again, and it was the 25th anniversary, even though it's not. They didn't really need it. I heard rumors that it was supposed to be John Cena and Hulk Hogan for the World Heavyweight Championship, where John Cena wins and Hogan puts over Cena, and it would have been the ultimate farewell, which honestly would have been fucking awesome. Imagine that. Cena and Hogan, Michaels and Taker in the same card. Jesus. Oh my god. The money would have been up the wall, which it probably explains why they kind of last second put Edge in that chamber match, took Kofi's spot and fought and took the belt off Cena. It makes sense now why they did that. But I have heard rumors that it was supposed to be Hogan, and Hogan was supposed to be at WrestleMania 25, but some plans fell through, and he decided to go TNA. So On to Austin and Hogan. Some people even claim that this match shouldn't even happen. That could be debatable. Did we need this match? Well, I think that if we were sure that this match would have delivered, then yeah, we definitely deserve this match. But you gotta think of like what kind of shape these guys were in. Uh, Honestly, at this point, Hulk Hogan was still he was still pretty ripped for be his age, but you could tell he had a stomach. He was kind of old and lumpy. It was all bad. And Austin, he had a broken neck. He just had a lot of back problems. We didn't know what kind of match we were gonna get, so it explains why Austin got put over The Rock. Because we all predicted that The Rock was going to be the next face of the company. Little did we know he went Hollywood after that. And at WrestleMania 18, like I said, I would have rather much seen a babyface Hogan and a heel Steve Austin. Not to say that that match wouldn't have been bad, but you'll never know. This is one of those biggest we'll never know whether or not Austin and Hogan would have delivered. But as far as which WrestleMania needed the most, WrestleMania 19. Just looking at that number, the attendance was off. Well, not awful, but it wasn't that good. And I would rather much see Diesel 101 Raw's card. That card is amazing. I wish that card was great. With that said, I don't hate WrestleMania 19. I think it was a pretty solid show despite some of the silliness, such as Triple H hitting Booker T with a pedigree, taking forever to the pinfall, and Booker T didn't kick out. That was ridiculous. Matt and Ray going 4 minutes was lame. But yeah, I could still sit through this show and watch it and say this is one of the funnest and best WrestleManias I've seen. But it could have been better. WrestleMania 19, we could all agree, could have delivered to the point where we could have had one of the biggest draws in WrestleMania history. It probably could have done better than 17 and 18. Or maybe, I mean, we'll never know because, like I said, in my episode 5 of WrestleMania debates, I mentioned that um, the business kind of went down after the end of the Monday Night Wars. But this could have been the farewell and hello to the new generation, which it was. But I mean, we could have had some bigger, like more incredible matches. Now, side note, if we were to have Diesel 101's Ross card, one of the matches that he would wanted to watch is Rock and Michaels, which to me is the number one dream match ever. But you got to keep in mind of this. The Rock and Shawn Michaels do not like each other. A lot of people don't know this. So we could have gotten like the typical like one oversells the match or one doesn't want to put over the other guy. One could get hurt. So we didn't know what kind of match we could have gotten. So until we were sure what kind of match we were getting, then I understand why we never got it. So yeah, I think the WrestleMania that deserves it the most is WrestleMania 19. It would have been a great way to bring in more attention to WrestleMania, more attention to casual viewers, saying goodbye to Austin and Hogan, and then saying hello to the new generation. People were saying goodbye to Rock and Austin, but we assumed that The Rock was going to stay and Austin was going to leave. Also, another big problem was that we've already seen Austin and Rock so many times at this point. I'm pretty sure at this point people got sick of it. So, yeah. That's my debate. It was hold on. Yeah, my debate was which WrestleMania needed Stone Cold versus Hulk Hogan more. WrestleMania 19 to me. So yeah, that's my final debate. It's me, the AOE Double X Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Next episode, I forgot to announce it at the previous one, but the next episode is gonna be a very, very controversial one because it involves the late Eddie Guerrero and the late Chris Benoit, and whether or not they were the right world champions to go over at WrestleMania 20. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, now I'm out. Bye.